Now read this. Hello and welcome back to Now Read This, the story of King Arthur and his knights by Howard Pyle. This is part 5, but part 2 in the stories of Three Worthies. This is the story of Sir Pelleas. This is probably my favourite in the whole book. So here followeth the story of Sir Pelleas, surnamed by many the Gentle Knight. For Sir Pelleas was of such a sort that it was said of him that all women loved him without disadvantage to themselves, and that all men loved him to their great good advantage. Wherefore, when in the end he won for his beloved that beautiful Lady of the Lake, who was one of the chiefest damoiselles of Faery, and when he went to dwell as Lord Paramount in that wonderful habitation which no other mortal than he and Sir Lancelot of the Lake had ever beheld, then were all men rejoiced at his great good fortune, albeit all the court of King Arthur grieved that he had departed so far away from them, never to return again. So I believe that you will have pleasure in reading the history of the things concerning Sir Pelleas, hereinafter written for your edification. Chapter 1. How Queen Guinevere went a-maying, and how Sir Pelleas took upon him a quest in her behalf. Now it befell upon a pleasant day in the springtime, that Queen Guinevere went a-maying with a goodly company of knights and ladies of her court. And among those knights was Sir Pelleas, and Sir Geraint, and Sir Dinadan, and Sir Aglavale, and Sir Agravaine, and Sir Constantine of Cornwall, and sundry others, so that the like of that court was hardly to be found in all of the world, either then, or before, or since. The day was exceedingly pleasant, with the sunlight all yellow, like to gold, and the breeze both soft and gentle. The small birds, they sang with very great joy, and all about there bloomed so many flowers of divers sorts that the entire meadows were carpeted with their tender green. So it seemed to Queen Guinevere that it was very good to be abroad in the field and beneath the sky at such a season. Now as the queen and her court walked in great joy among the blossoms, one of the damsels attendant upon the Lady Guinevere cried out of a sudden, "Look, look, who is that cometh yonder?" Thereupon Queen Guinevere lifted up her eyes, and she beheld that there came across the meadow a damsel riding upon a milk-white palfrey, accompanied by 3 pages clad in sky-blue raiment. That damsel was also clad entirely in azure, and she wore a finely wrought chain of gold about her neck, and a fillet of gold about her brows, and her hair, which was as yellow as gold, was wrapped all about with bands of blue ribbon, embroidered with gold. And one of the pages that followed the damsel bare a square frame of no very great size, and that the frame was enveloped and covered with a curtain of crimson satin. Now when the queen beheld that goodly company approaching, she bade one of the knights attendant upon her for to go forth to meet the damsel. And the knight who went forth in obedience to her command was Sir Pelleas. So when Sir Pelleas met the damsel and her 3 pages, he spake to her in this wise: "Fair damsel, I am commanded by yonder lady for to greet you, and to crave of you the favour of your name and purpose." "Sir knight," said the damsel, "I do perceive from your countenance and address that you are some lord of very high estate, and of great nobility. Wherefore I will gladly tell you that my name is Parcenet, and that I am a damsel belonging to the court of a certain very high dame who dwelleth at a considerable distance from here, and who is called the Lady Ettard of Grantmesnle. Now I come hitherward, desiring to be admitted into the presence of Queen Guinevere. Accordingly, if you can tell me whereabout I may find that noble lady, I shall assuredly be very greatly beholden unto you." "Ha, lady," quoth Sir Pelleas, "thou shalt not have a very far to go to find Queen Guinevere, for behold, yonder she walketh, surrounded by her court of lords and ladies." Then the damsel said, "I prithee bring me unto her." So Sir Pelleas led Parcenet unto the queen, and Queen Guinevere received her with great graciousness of demeanour, saying, "Damsel, what is it that ye seek of us?" "Lady," quoth the damsel, "I will tell you that very readily. The Lady Ettard, my mistress, is considered by all in those parts where she dwelleth to be the most beautiful lady in the world. Now, of late, there hath come such a report of your exceeding beauty that the Lady Ettard hath seen fit for to send me hitherward to see with mine own eyes if that which is recorded of you is soothly true. And indeed, lady, now that I stand before you, I may not say but that you are the fairest dame that ever mine eyes beheld, unless it be the Lady Ettard aforesaid." Then Queen Guinevere laughed with very great mirth, and she said, "It appeareth to me to be very droll affair that thou shouldst have travelled so great a distance for so small a matter." Then she said, "Tell me, damsel, what is that thy page beareth so carefully wrapped up in that curtain of crimson satin?" "Lady," quoth the damsel, "it is a true and perfect likeness of the Lady Ettard, who is my mistress." Then Queen Guinevere said, "Show it to me." Upon this, the page who bore the picture dismounted from his palfrey, and coming to Queen Guinevere, he kneeled down upon one knee and uncovered the picture so that the queen and her court might look upon it. Thereupon they all beheld that picture was painted very cunningly upon a panel of ivory framed with gold and inset with many jewels of divers colours, and they saw that it was the picture of a lady of such extraordinary beauty that all they who beheld it marvelled thereat. "Hey, damsel," quoth Queen Guinevere, "thy lady is, indeed, graced with wonderful beauty. Now if she doth in sooth resemble that picture, then I believe that her like to loveliness is not to be found anywhere in the world." Upon this, Sir Pelleas spake out and said, "Not so, lady, for I do protest, and am willing to maintain my words with the peril of my body, that thou thyself art much more beautiful than that picture." "Hey day, Sir Knight," quoth the damsel Parsonet. "It is well that thou dost maintain that saying so far away from Grantmesnle, for at that place is a certain knight, hight Sir Engamore of Malveret, who is a very strong knight indeed, and who maintaineth the contrary to thy saying in favour of the Lady Ettard against all comers who dare to encounter him." Then Sir Pelleas kneeled down before Queen Guinevere and set his palms together. "Lady," he said, "I do pray thee of thy grace, and that thou wilt so far honour me as to accept me for thy true knight in this matter, for I would fain essay an adventure in thy behalf, if I have thy permission for to do so. Wherefore, if thou grantest me leave, I will straightway go forth to meet this knight of whom the damsel speaketh, and I greatly hope that when I find him, I shall cause his overthrow to the increasing of thy glory and honour." Then Queen Guinevere laughed again with pure merriment. "Sir," quoth she, "it pleases me beyond measure that thou shouldst take so small a quarrel as this upon thee in my behalf. For if, so be, thou dost assume so small a quarrel, then how much more wouldst thou take a serious quarrel of mine upon thee? Wherefore I do accept thee very joyfully for my champion in this affair. So go thou presently and arm thyself in such a way as may be fitting for this adventure." "Lady," said Sir Pelleas, "if I have thy leave, I will enter into this affair clad as I am, for I entertain hopes that I shall succeed in winning armour and accoutrements upon the way, in the which case this adventure will be still more to thy credit than it would otherwise be." At this, the queen was very much pleased that her knight should undertake so serious an adventure clad only in holiday attire. Wherefore she said, "Let it be as thou wouldst have it." Thereupon she bade her page, Florian, for to go fetch that best horse that he might obtain for Sir Pelleas, and Florian, running with all speed, presently returned with a noble steed, so black of hue that I believe there was not a single white hair upon him. Then Sir Pelleas gave adieu to Queen Guinevere and her merry May court, and they gave him adieu and great acclaim, and thereupon he mounted his horse and rode away with the damsel Parsonet and the 3 pages clad in blue. Now when these had gone some distance, the damsel Parsonet said, "Sir, I know not thy name, or thy condition, or who thou art." Unto this Sir Pelleas said, "Damsel, my name is Pelleas, and I am a knight of King Arthur's Round Table. At that, Parcenet was very much astonished, for Sir Pelleas was held by many to be the best knight-at-arms alive, saving only King Arthur and King Pellinore. Wherefore she cried out, "Messire, it will assuredly be a very great honour for Sir Engamore to have to do with so famous a knight as thou." Unto this Sir Pelleas said, "Damsel, I think there are several knights of King Arthur's Round Table who are better knights than I." But Parcenet said, "I cannot believe that to be the case." Then, after a while, Parcenet said to Sir Pelleas, "Messire, how wilt thou get thyself armour for to fight Sir Engamore?" "Maiden," said Sir Pelleas, "I do not know at these present where I shall provide me armour, but before that time cometh for me to have to do with Sir Engamore, I have faith that I shall find armour fit for my purpose. For thou must know that it is not always the defence that a man weareth upon his body that bringeth him success, but more often it is the spirit that uplifteth him unto his undertakings." Then Parcenet said, "Sir Pelleas, I do not believe that it is often the case that a lady hath so good a knight as thou for to do battle in her behalf." To which Sir Pelleas said very cheerfully, "Damsel, when thy time cometh, I wish that thou mayst have a very much better knight to serve thee than I." "Sir," quoth Parcenet, "such a thing as that is not likely to befall me." At the which Sir Pelleas laughed with great lightness of heart. Then Parcenet said, "Hey ho, I would that I had a good knight for to serve me." To this Sir Pelleas made very sober reply, "Maiden, the first one that I catch, I will give unto thee for thy very own. Now wouldst thou have him fair, or dark, or short, or tall? For if thou wouldst rather have him short and fair, I will let the tall, dark one go. But if thou wouldst have him tall and dark, I will let the other sort go." Then Parcenet looked very steadily at Sir Pelleas, and she said, "I would have him about as tall as thou art, and with the same colour of hair and eyes, and with a straight nose like unto thine, and with a good wit, such as thou hast." "Wow! Flirtation!" "Alas," said Sir Pelleas, "I would that thou hadst told me this before we had come so far from Camelot, for I could easily have got thee such a knight at that place, for they have them there in such plenty that they keep them in wicker cages, and sell them too for a farthing." Whereat Parcenet laughed very cheerfully, and said, "Then Camelot must be a very wonderful place, Sir Pelleas." So, with very merry discourse, they journeyed upon their way with great joy and good content, taking much pleasure in the springtime and the pleasant meadows whereon they travelled, being without care of any sort, and heart full of cheerfulness and goodwill. Now, after they had travelled a considerable distance in that forest, the damsel Parcenet said to Sir Pelleas, "Sir, do you know what part of the woods this is?" "Nay," said Sir Pelleas. "Well," said Parcenet, "this part of the woodland is sometimes called a roy, and is sometimes called the Forest of Adventure. For I must tell you it is a very wonderful place, full of magic of sundry sorts. For it is said that no knight may enter into this forest, but some adventure shall befall him." "Damsel," said Sir Pelleas, "that which thou tellest me is very good news, for maybe, if we should fall in with some adventure at this place, I may then be able to obtain armour suitable for my purpose." So they entered the Forest of Adventure forthwith, and then travelled therein for a long way, marvelling greatly at the aspect of that place into which they were come. For the forest was very dark and silent and wonderfully strange, and altogether different from any other place that they had ever seen. Wherefore it appeared to them that it would not be at all singular if some extraordinary adventure should befall them. So after they had travelled in this wise for a considerable pass, they came of a sudden out of those thicker parts of the woodland to where was an opening of considerable extent. And there they beheld before them a violent stream of water that flowed very turbulently and with great uproar of many noises. And they saw, that by the side of the stream of water there was a thorn tree, and that underneath the thorn tree was a bank of green moss, and that upon the bank of moss there sat an aged woman of a very woeful appearance. For that old woman was extraordinarily withered with age, and her eyes were all red, as though with a continual weeping of rheum, and many bristles grew upon her cheeks and her chin, and her face was covered with such a multitude of wrinkles that there was not any place that was free from wrinkles. Now when that old woman beheld Sir Pelleas and Parcenet and the 3 pages approaching where she sat, she cried out in a loud voice,
Sir, wilt thou not bear me over this water upon thy horse? For lo, I am very old and feeble, and may not cross this river by myself.
Then Parcenet rebuked the old woman, saying, Peace, be still. Who art thou to ask this noble knight for to do thee such a service as that? Then Sir Pelleas was not pleased with Parcenet, wherefore he said, Damsel, thou dost not speak properly in this matter, for that which beseemeth a true knight is to give succour unto any one soever who needeth his aid. For King Arthur is the perfect looking-glass of knighthood, and he hath taught his knights to give succour unto all who ask succour of them, without regarding their condition. So saying, Sir Pelleas dismounted from his horse, and lifted the old woman up upon the saddle thereof. Then he himself mounted once more, and straightway rode into the ford of the river, and so came across the torrent with the old woman in safety to the other side. And Parcenet followed him, marvelling very greatly at his knightliness, and the 3 pages followed her. Now when they had reached the other side of the water, Sir Pelleas dismounted with intent to aid the old woman to alight from the horse. But she waited not for his aid, but immediately leapt down very lightly from where she was. And lo, Sir Pelleas beheld that she whom he had thought to be only an aged and withered beldame was, in truth, a very strange, wonderful lady of extraordinary beauty. And, greatly marvelling, he beheld that she was clad in apparel of such a sort as neither he nor any who were there had ever beheld before. And because of her appearance, he was aware that she was not like any ordinary mortal, but that she was doubtless of enchantment. For he perceived that her face was of a wonderful clearness, like to ivory for whiteness, and that her eyes were very black and extraordinarily bright, like unto 2 jewels set into ivory. And he perceived that she was clad all in green from head to foot, and that her hair was long and perfectly black, and like to fine silk for softness and for glossiness. And he perceived that she had about her neck a collar of opal stones and emeralds inset into gold, and that about her wrists were bracelets of finely wrought gold, inset with opal stones and emeralds. Wherefore, from all these circumstances, he knew that she must be fay. For thus was the Lady Nimue of the Lake, and so had she appeared unto King Arthur, and so did she appear unto Sir Pelleas and those who were with him. So beholding the wonderful magical quality of that lady, Sir Pelleas kneeled down before her, and set his hands together, palm to palm. But the Lady of the Lake said, Sir, why dost thou kneel to me? Lady, quoth Sir Pelleas, because thou art so wonderfully strange and beautiful. Messire, said the Lady of the Lake, thou hast done a very great service to me, and art, assuredly, a very excellent knight. Wherefore arise and kneel no longer. So Sir Pelleas arose from his knees and stood before her, and he said, Lady, who art thou? To the which she made reply, I am who holdeth an exceedingly kind regard toward King Arthur and all his knights. My name is Nimue, and I am the chiefest of those ladies of the lake, of whom thou mayest have heard tell. I took upon me that form of a sorry old woman for to test thy knightliness, and lo, I have not found thee amiss in worthy service. Then Sir Pelleas said, Lady, thou hast assuredly done me great favour in these. Upon that, The Lady of the Lake smiled upon Sir Pellias very kindly, and she said, "Sir, I have a mind to do thee a greater favour than that." Therewith, so saying, she immediately took from about her neck that collar of opal stones, of emeralds and gold, and hung it about the shoulders of Sir Pellias, so that it hung down upon his breast with a very wonderful glory of variegated colours. "Keep this," she said, "for it is a very potent magic." Upon that she vanished instantly from the sight of those who were there, leaving them astonished and amazed beyond measure at what had befallen. And Sir Pellias was like one who was in a dream, for he wist not whether that which he had beheld was a vision, or whether he had seen it with his waking eyes. Wherefore he mounted upon his horse in entire silence, as though he knew not what he did. And likewise in entire silence he led the way from that place. Nor did any of those others speak at that time. Only after they had gone a considerable distance, Parcenet said, speaking in a manner of fear, "Messire, that was a very wonderful thing that befell us." To which Sir Pellias said, "Yea, maiden." Now that necklace which the Lady of the Lake had hung about the neck of Sir Pellias possessed such a virtue that whosoever wore it was beloved of all those who looked upon him. For the collar was enchanted with that particular virtue. But Sir Pellias was altogether unaware of that circumstance, wherefore he only took joy to himself because of that singular beauty of the jewel which the Lady of the Lake had given him. Hey, you want to buy something? You can check the description for my books and audiobooks. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.